Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna. Sorry, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Manoj, can you please increase the volume a little bit? Volume increase a little bit. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, fine. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So you can sing Hare Krishna, maybe close to 5:30, give it to Dirgor, he's sitting in the back, he can sing. So maybe 5:20, 5:25, what should I tell him?
25. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gopinatha Sri Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Mai Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Mai Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
অহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর দয়ার সাগর এ দাসে করুণা করি অহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর দয়ার সাগর এ দাসে করুণা করি দিয়া পদ ছায়া সদহে আমারে দিয়া পদ ছায়া সদহে আমারে তোমার চরণ ধরি আমি আমি তোমার চরণ ধরি অহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুরা দয়ার সাগর এ দাসে করুণা করি क्षय बेगदमी क्षय दश सधी क्षय गुण देह दासे क्षय बेगदमी क्षय दश सधी क्षय गुण देह दासे क्षय शत संगा देह है आमारे क्षय शत संगा देह है आमारे বসেছি সঙ্গের আশে আমি বসেছি সঙ্গের আশে বসেছি সঙ্গের আশে ওহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুরা দয়ার সাগর এ দাসে করুণা করি ওহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুরা দয়ার সাগর এ দাসে করুণা করি একাকী আমার নাহি পায় বল হরি নাম সংকীর্তনে একাকী আমার নাহি পায় বল হরি নাম সংকীর্তনে তুমি কৃপা করি শ্রদ্ধা বিন্দু দিয়া তুমি কৃপা করি শ্রদ্ধা বিন্দু দিয়া দেহ কৃষ্ণ নাম ধানে দেহ কৃষ্ণ নাম ধানে ওহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুরা দয়ার সাগর এ দাসে করুণা করি ওহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুরা দয়ার সাগর এ দাসে করুণা করি কৃষ্ণ সে তোমার কৃষ্ণ দিতে পারা তোমার শক্তি আছে কৃষ্ণ সে তোমার কৃষ্ণ দিতে পারা তোমার শক্তি আছে। আমি তো কাঙ্গাল কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ বলি, আমি তো কাঙ্গাল কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ বলি, ধাই তব পাছে পাছে। আমি ধাই তব পাছে পাছে। ওহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুরা দয়ার সাগর, এ দাসে করুণা করি। ওহে বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুরা দয়ার সাগর, এ দাসে করুণা করি। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে, হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. We welcome you all to the auspicious occasion of 73rd Vyasa Puja celebration of His Holiness Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj. Please repeat. Yeah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Radha Govinda Goswami Maharaj iti namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Prabhuji Mataji, we're celebrating this Vyasa Puja of His Holiness Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj. Just for your benefit, you all have participated in these events in the past, but just sometimes we need to go back to the basics. We need to go back and tell ourselves and ask ourselves, why am I attending this event? What is the purpose? So Srila Prabhupada, I'm just quoting this. You can please hear. It's on the screen who can see. But Srila Prabhupada says, Vyas means Guru, because he is our original Guru. Yeah? When spiritual master's birthday is observed, it is called Vyasa Puja. Yeah? The Vyasa Puja means a spiritual master is representative of Vyasadeva. Yeah? So spiritual master is representative of Vyasa, a very important statement. So this is just not a mere formality when we celebrate the Vyasa Puja of Guru Maharaj. Very often we say, oh, my Guru Maharaj Vyasa Puja. But there is a deeper meaning to that. Even Lord Krishna, when he's speaking to Uddhavji in 11th canto, when he's speaking Uddhav Gita, Lord Krishna tells Uddhavji that Acharya Mam Vijaniyat. Yeah? So consider Acharya equal to me. Yeah? Acharya is equivalent to me. He is none different from me. Yeah? And not just that, even when Srila Rupa Goswami, when he is describing the 64 limbs of devotional service, so the very first 5 elements that he is describing, they are related to the Guru. He is not even talking about the bhakti as yet. So he's saying Guru Pad Ashrayas, Tasmat Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam, Vishrambhena Guru Seva, yeah? Sadhu Vartmanu Vartanam, Saddharma Pricha. So 5 things he is saying even before he starts talking about the devotional service. Very first he says is Guru Pad Ashrayas. Go and take shelter at the lotus feet of a spiritual master or of your spiritual master. Guru Pad Ashrayas. When you take shelter at the lotus feet of the Guru, then what does happen? Krishnadi Diksha. Shikshanam. Then he gives you initiation. Right? He gives you initiation to fall or to follow or to worship Lord Shri Krishna. Yeah? Shikshanam. He also gives you the siksha, the knowledge of how to go and worship Shri Krishna. And then what you do? Vishrambhrena Guru Seva. Then with full devotion and with full faith, you serve the spiritual master. And when you serve spiritual master, then what happens? Sadhu Vartmanu Vartanam. Then your spiritual master guides you how to follow the acharyas, how to follow the spiritual leaders, right? And then next what you do is Sadharma Pricha. Then you make the inquiries from the spiritual master. What is the dharma? Yeah? What is the Sadharma? What is the real dharma? And after you making those inquiries, then the next step what you say is, then he says, Bhogadi Tyaga Krishnasya Hetave. Then you relinquish or all the desires to enjoy the sense objects, right? Bhogadi Tyaga. Then you forgive or forgo all the desires to have sense gratification. For what? Krishnasya Hetave. To serve, to worship Supreme Lord Krishna. And then Dwarkadau, Nivase Dwarkadau cha. Then you go and stay in the places like Dwarka and Vrindavan. But how we start our spiritual journey? We first go to Vrindavan. We say there is nothing wrong in that. But the point that I'm saying is, or what Srila Rupa Goswami is saying is, even before he talks about the devotional service, the very first 5 steps, Prabhuji Mataji, is very important. Yeah? Very first 5 steps. You go and take shelter at the spiritual master. Then you get initiation from the spiritual master. Then you serve the spiritual master with full faith and devotion. And then he guides you how to follow in the footsteps of the acharyas. And then you go and make a spiritual inquiry from the spiritual master. Yeah? So spiritual master holds a significant place in our lives. Not just material lives, but in our adhyatmic journey, which is most important, right? So it is very important. And what we want to get, in the first canto, there is an inquiry from Shaunakadi Rishi. They are asking what is the ultimate good for the human beings. And the very answer that Sud Goswami says is, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. That is the ultimate goal. That is the ultimate success of any living entity, which is to have the devotional service to the Supreme Lord. To have the bhakti to the Supreme Lord, now Rupa Goswami has told you the process. You need to do these first 5 things. So that is the significance of celebrating the Vyasa Puja. Yeah? I hope we all understand the significance, the depth, the importance of celebrating this event. Yeah? And then another quote from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says, herein lies the secret of Shri Vyasa Puja. When we meditate on the transcendental pastime of the absolute Godhead, we are proud to feel that we are His eternal servitors. And we become jubilant and dance with joy. All glory to my divine Master, for it is He who has out of His unceasing flow of mercy stirred up within us such a movement of eternal existence. Let us bow down at His lotus feet. Yeah, we just sang the bhajan, Ohe Vaishnava Thakur, right? In that bhajan, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he is praying or he is saying, he is glorifying the Vaishnavas, and he is saying that I don't have the strength. Ekaki amara nahi paye bal. Hari Nam Sankirtane. I don't have the strength to perform the devotional service alone. Ekaki. If there is a misconception that I can sit alone and perform devotional service, no. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, I don't have the strength to perform that devotional service. Hari Nam Sankirtane. And then he says, Kripa kore tumi. Yeah. And then by mercy, what did he do? Shraddha bindu diya. By his mercy, by the mercy of the spiritual master, we develop that faith. Shraddha bindu diya. Yeah. Kripa kore tume Shraddha bindu diya. Yeah. Krishna Nam, Deho Krishna Nam. Spiritual master, there is no progress. So it is very important. If you don't have a spiritual master, you have Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, and he's given us such a big family. Yeah. So all the gurus there are your Shiksha gurus. You can take teachings from all of them. Yeah. So without further taking time, I will request His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu to please come forward and glorify His Holiness Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj. So this is the whole purpose, Prabhuji Mataji. We come and glorify the spiritual master from our heart. So please hear from Prabhu. Thank you.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधा गोविंद दास गोस्वामी निति नामिने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्य देश तारिणे His Holiness Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Firstly, we welcome you all to the abode of Sri Radha Gopinath Ji, Sri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. We appreciate you taking extra efforts to come today, braving the very heavy weather. And just like yesterday during Ratha Yatra, Lord Jagannath makes special arrangement. Similarly, today also, my humble prayers are all with you, so that the sky holds all the rain until you reach home. In fact, that's what happened. Yesterday when we brought Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani, the moment we entered into the temple, then it started to pour like anything for next 3 hours. So we just made it. So thank you very much. Whenever we take that extra step to come to the shelter of Sri Radha Gopinath, and today on a very special occasion to glorify His Holiness Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj. As His Grace Venuvada Prabhu said, our whole process starts with taking shelter of the spiritual master. Once a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, are you the master of all your disciples? Prabhupada said, no, I'm everyone's servant. And then Prabhupada corrected himself and he says, actually even being a servant of everyone, being servant of Krishna is a very high position to be in. I'm aspiring to be the servant of Krishna. So this is the position Srila Prabhupada saw himself being in. And as the Siksha disciples of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, and this is the mood, this is the attitude, and this is the consciousness we should all pray to imbibe ourselves. Srila Prabhupada says, you can judge a tree by its fruit. Palena parichayate. Once in a morning walk, they asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, do you like a mango from the tree we have there in the park? Prabhupada says, yes. And then they ask Srila Prabhupada any particular instructions as to which part of the tree you want the fruits from. Prabhupada says, from the eastern side. Because the fruits that are on the eastern side, Prabhupada says, they take the early morning sunlight. And then Prabhupada goes on to say that early morning sun gives us energy. The sun, rest of the day, takes away the energy. So if you miss the early morning walk, don't go for a walk again. Just skip the whole day, go to the next day. And it's no wonder you feel sleepy, you feel tired if you happen to go for a walk at any time during the day, except early in the morning. Phalena parishayate. You can judge the tree by its fruit. Even though many of us, or maybe even most of us, we didn't get the association, Vapu association, to be in the personal presence of Maharaj. Maharaj is based in India, in Vrindavan. I got the fortune to attend a few classes which Maharaj gave. But many of us, even though we are not fortunate to take the personal association of Maharaj, we are still being blessed by indirect association, by the association of his exemplary disciples. We have our very own His Grace Venuvadak Prabhu. We have Chiring Prabhu, we have Toshan Krishna Prabhu. We were blessed by the association of His Grace Amarendra Prabhu, Lal Govinda Prabhu, and so many other stalwart devotees. Just being in their presence, we can understand they are simply reflecting the glory of their spiritual master, His Holiness Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada, he said the mood of the spiritual master in terms of the spiritual master's dealing with his or her disciples is the spiritual master sees that all the disciples are sent to him by his own spiritual master to assist him in the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Prabhupada, he traveled, circled around the globe, and he initiated many disciples, thousands of them. And amongst those thousands of disciples, there are many disciples who took the instructions of Srila Prabhupada to their heart, many of them. And they dedicated their whole life for it. When we think of Aindra Prabhu, we think Kirtan immediately, synonymously. So he dedicated his life simply for singing and glorifying the holy name. When we think of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, we think about Vaishnava qualities, we think about humility, we think about devotee relationships, Vaishnava Seva. Likewise, when we think of, or when we hear this name, Radha Govinda Maharaj, what immediately comes to our mind is Srimad-Bhagavatam. Maharaj himself narrates how he came in contact with Srila Prabhupada. He meets Prabhupada in one program, and then Prabhupada asks him when his next program is, and Prabhupada tells the location. He goes to the next place. And then when he first met Prabhupada, it was on an evening. So in the twilight, he couldn't see him much. He was just seeing more like a silhouette. So he couldn't see the form of Srila Prabhupada, even though he spoke to him in that crowd. And then he goes to the temple, and he tells to Prabhupada, without realizing it's Prabhupada. He goes to him and he says, I'm here to meet Bhaktivedanta Swami. Then Prabhupada replies, why do you want to meet Bhaktivedanta Swami? Then Maharaj replies, well, because he is the servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Prabhupada questions him again, who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Then Radha Govinda Maharaj says to Prabhupada, again, without realizing it's Prabhupada, he says, well, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Lord Krishna himself. Then Prabhupada corrects him saying, no, he is not Krishna, he is devotee of Krishna. Then Radha Govinda Maharaj, he tells him, no, I know Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. But then Srila Prabhupada again refutes, saying, no, he is not Krishna, he is Krishna's devotee. And to which Radha Govinda Maharaj tells Prabhupada, without realizing again it's Prabhupada, that, shut up, you don't know anything. And Prabhupada starts to laugh. And then Prabhupada takes him, okay, come, I'll take you to Bhaktivedanta Swami. He goes there, he sits on the chair, and all the disciples comes and bow down, and he then greets Radha Govinda Maharaj, I am Bhaktivedanta Swami. And then Prabhupada starts to laugh constantly, continuously. Prabhupada says to his disciples, he knows who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. And Prabhupada looks at him and he says, you chastised me, I really like it. And then Prabhupada laughs again. Maharaj says, he felt very embarrassed. So from day one, Srila Prabhupada actually gave him, he could actually see. If you see the pastime of Radhanath Maharaj, Prabhupada was seated on a high dais on a pandal, and there were like tens of thousands of people. And Prabhupada calls one of his disciples, Shyamsundar Prabhu. I believe he either Shyamsundar Prabhu or Gurudas Prabhu, and he points out at someone. And he says, go and call him. He goes all the way, and then he picks Radhanath Maharaj, who was still just a wandering monk. Nobody knew anything about him. So Prabhupada could see for what purpose each of these exalted souls were sent to him by his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Prabhupada entrusted this most sublime instruction, sublime task of studying and glorifying Srimad-Bhagavatam. So in whole of ISKCON, Maharaj is one of the greatest authorities, if not the greatest authority of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And how much Maharaj made it relevant, made it appealing, made it relatable to a common man. We can actually realize it by hearing his disciples speak. Just like we often give this example, a mother bird would chew the food and give only half-chewed food to the child. Similarly, the instructions of the Shastras are taken, digested and given in a form which is digestible for general people like us by Srila Prabhupada when he wrote so beautifully in his books, all those 18,000 instructions. And they are read in turn by many of his stalwart disciples like Radha Govinda Maharaj. They chew it further and they give it to us in a way that is easily digestible for us. But then we have disciples. As I said, we have our very own Venuvadak Prabhu. If you happen to attend his classes, you will understand how much he loves, how much he has dedicated. I give classes, but then you feel embarrassed when you sit in a class given by Venuvadak Prabhu. If you call mine as class, then what should you call what he is giving as? If you see any verse in the board, Prabhu would start to give a beautiful summary from the starting of the chapter. And he will recite most of the verses by heart. And here we think we memorized one verse in a week and we feel very proud. Prabhu knows many chapters by heart. And then he'll take a word and then he'll dissect it again. To make it relevant in terms of philosophy, in terms of the Leela that's given in the Shastras, as well as in terms of how this knowledge is relevant to us, which is most important. Because if we don't understand how the knowledge that's given in the Shastras is relevant to us, we won't find any much value. So Maharaj has made Srimad-Bhagavatam so accessible to everyone. And we'll get to hear more about Maharaj in the Vyasa Puja offerings of many of the stalwart devotees today. Even in our yatra, we have Chiring Prabhu, we have Venuvadak Prabhu, and we'll also get to hear the recording of Amarendra Prabhu, as well as few other devotees today. It is said in the Shastras that when you glorify a Vaishnava, you take 1/6 of their quality. 1/6 of the quality will rub off on you. We can imbibe that. So today, let us make this conviction. Whether we are glorifying Maharaj orally or whether we are attentively hearing about the glories of Maharaj, may we sincerely desire in our heart that we develop a little bit of desire, very little desire, even a little desire, to take shelter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, to take shelter of the holy name, and to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada. And simply by taking seriously the glorification of Vaishnavas, simply by giving attentive hearing to these transcendental sound vibrations, we will surely, Prabhupada says, our process is slow but sure. So the process may be slow, gradual, but it's sure to bring us to success. His Holiness Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Ghanshyam Prabhuji. Yeah, indeed, as Prabhu said, Srila Prabhupada had a special instruction for Guru Maharaj. And when Srila Prabhupada, when he initiated Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada gave him Srimad-Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada would often address Guru Maharaj. Sometimes he would call him Radha Govinda. Sometimes he would call him Gorakhpur Wala. So that pastime that Prabhu mentioned or narrated, so Prabhupada would remember, so he would address him as Gorakhpur Wala. And once Srila Prabhupada was traveling, so Prabhupada introduced Maharaj to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, because Gopal Krishna Maharaj was, Maharaj is involved in a lot of management side of the things. And Guru Maharaj joined, he was, afterwards. So Prabhupada instructed His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, ye ladka Bihar se hai. This boy is from Bihar. Ye Bhagavatam padhta hai. He reads Bhagavatam. Please take care of him. And Guru Maharaj got his sannyas diksha from His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Yeah. So as Prabhu said, Prabhupada could see who to connect with whom, who has what qualities. So without taking further time, I would like to request some devotees from Shri Radha Parthasarthi Ashram to please come and share their offerings. I will speak to a little bit later about Radha Parthasarthi Ashram, but please hear, we have a little congregation in southwest Sydney under the guidance of His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu. We are making an effort to spread Krishna consciousness. So I request few devotees to please come one by one and make their offerings. If I can request Her Grace Supriya Mataji. You can hold the mic, Mataji, or you want to?
Dear Guru Maharaj, am I audible? Okay. Now? Okay. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you on the auspicious occasion of your Vyasa Puja. Maharaj, I've never had the great fortune to have met you, let alone serve you personally, but I'm one of those lucky few who, without having any good karma to my credit, has been showered by your unlimited mercy for the last 16 years. I often wonder why me. Just like a compassionate person has mercy on a sick animal lying at the side of a road on a harsh day, you, through your disciples, have always been there to guide me right from the time when I was introduced to Krishna consciousness. And I cannot even count the number of aparadhas I must have committed at their feet, only to be patiently guided by them, always lovingly overlooking my perennially imperfect attempt at service. I've come to realize over the years that only a fortunate person gets the opportunity to get the association of a devotee, and it requires an even greater fortune to be guided by one, either through his Vani or through his disciples. And only by the mercy of such disciples does this person get the opportunity to even render service. But I am one of those undeservingly fortunate souls who not only got this opportunity, but wherever I went and at whatever juncture of my life I was at, you, through your disciples, have handheld me where I stumble my way, and try to attempt to render any little service which I can. Maharaj, just as it is very foolish to only thank the branches of a tree for the fruits they bear while ignoring the tree itself, it would be utterly foolish for me to try and serve my Shiksha Gurus without acknowledging their source, which is you. I cannot make progress equivalent to even a grain of rice without your mercy. There is not a single instance when I do not think of you, when I think of my own Guru Maharaj. And there is not a single day when I am not blessed by the pearls of your wisdom. This verse is one of my favorites, actually, by Srila Adi Shankaracharya in Guru Ashram. And it always reminds me of the importance of having your disciples in my life. Shariram surupam tatha va kalatram yashascharu chitram dhanam meru tulyam manaschesha lagnam gururangre padme tatakim 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 tatakim. It means that I might be blessed with a beautiful body and an amazing family and all the prosperity in the world and all the wealth that equates to the Meru mountain. But if my mind is not fixed onto my Guru's lotus feet, what is the use of all this? And that is exactly what Guru Maharaj, your disciples, have done for me. On this note, I offer my very sincere praise at your lotus feet to please grant me the everlasting desire, sincerity, as well as the ability which can only come through you to serve and please all Vaishnavas, especially your disciples, who have always taken up the role of my Shiksha Gurus all my life and have been a torchlight in my journey, having handheld me while I take wobbly steps on this path. With your mercy, may I become half as capable as the dust on their feet. All glories to Srila Radha Govinda Das Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. If I can request His Grace Varun Prabhuji to please come and glorify Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. I offer my humble obeisances to Guru Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. And I offer my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas who are here. I consider myself lower than a pleb to actually stand here and talk about Guru Maharaj or glorify Guru Maharaj. There is always a saying that whichever direction or whichever path you have to go, there need to be signs for that one. Now, paths are always there, but you need a direction, because direction actually tells you which way you have to go. And to me, I had that path for nearly now 8 years when I joined Krishna Consciousness. And it so happened that I was traveling by train in India, and one of the brahmacharis, pretty much like us here, who gave me a Bhagavad Gita, and I was somehow attracted to that few verses, and that's how my journey began. But coming from a journey to a path and direction, the direction is always given by your teachers and gurus, and we are all connected to the music, we are all connected to the various verses of it. So I always remember one verse from a famous bhajan, that bin guru gyan kaha mein paun. So Guru's presence in our life is as important as having your breath, as important as having your daily chores, because with that you get to know where your direction is. And I had the mercy of Guru Maharaj and various other Vaishnavas to be associated with His Grace Venuvadak Prabhuji, who has been a disciple of Guru Maharaj. And it gave me a direction which way I have to follow, which goals are important for me in my life. And there are many sins, many aparadhas which we all do knowingly, unknowingly. But as I said, that mercy of Guru, that mercy of association can only be achieved when you have true devotees in your life. And I can't have a better example than His Grace Venuvadak Prabhu and the mercy of Guru Maharaj, the teachings which we get to see in our WhatsApp messages every morning, the teachings which we hear from in the classes. It's important that we realize that there is an association, and association comes with a congregation, and that congregation has been given to me. Again, I would refer myself as a lower than a pleb through the association of Radha Parthasarthi Ashram. We have been involved in the mercy of Krishna to get that program, that association carried forward. And it all started about 4 years back, when with the grace and mercy of Guru Maharaj, we started this ashram. And from then on, it has been our consistent effort and constant endeavor to do whatever services we can do to bring forward the message of Krishna consciousness and carry forward the legacy of what Guru Maharaj has led us through His Grace Venuvadak Prabhu. I won't take much time, but again I offer my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas who are present here today. I offer my humble obeisances to Guru Maharaj, and I offer my humble obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Varun Prabhuji. So if I can request His Grace Govinda Hari Prabhuji to please come. Prabhu has been part of our yatra for many, many years, and Prabhu has, so many, our own, His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu speaks so highly of Prabhu that, he has so much spiritual contribution in his own life, in his own spiritual progress that Govinda Hari Prabhu has contributed to. And so he has touched so many devotees in Sydney Yatra. I don't know all of them, but all I've heard is wonderful service that Prabhu has been doing. And Prabhu has been listening to Guru Maharaj for many years. And whenever we meet, so Prabhu will always discuss. Prabhu, so wonderful to read the daily course of Maharaj. So I request Prabhu to please come and glorify Maharaj and share his realization.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Radha Govinda Das Goswami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Indradumna Swami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Firstly, I'd like to thank His Grace Venuvadak Prabhu for giving me the opportunity to glorify Radha Govinda Das Maharaj Ji. This is it's an honor of the highest. It's the honor of the highest level. Although I will say that. I will doubt some of the veracity of the claims that Venuvadak Prabhu has made about me. Anyways, Maharaj needs no introduction. He is one of the dearmost disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And Ghanshyam Prabhu mentioned in the course of his glorification of Maharaj that Falena Parichayate, you can judge a tree by its fruit. And I'd extend that argument by saying that generally you can judge a tree by its fruit, and the fruits of a tree don't fall very far away from the tree as well. They're pretty close to the tree. And similarly, Maharaj is very close to the root of history, which is Srila Prabhupada, and his disciples are none different. Most of us here may not have had the privilege of Maharaj's association, but we've certainly had the privilege of hearing from some of his disciples, meeting them in person, and via them understanding Maharaj's mood. I had a very unique way of first interacting with Maharaj, and then almost being infatuated by his lectures. In 2012, I traveled to Vrindavan as part of my Guru Maharaj, Srila Indradumna Swami Maharaj's Kartik Parikrama. And while during Parikrama, I was introduced to one of Maharaj's disciples, who was a very thin and simple and a very unassuming devotee. His name was His Grace Mathura Vihari Prabhu. And then my godbrother Narottam Prabhu told me that, this devotee saved us from national shame. I was like, oh really? What did he do? It's like, this year in 2012, India had a worldwide Sanskrit competition where they were judging your fluency in Sanskrit through the recitation of the Bhagavad Gita. And he said when it came to the final round, there were 5 Russian-bodied souls and him. And Mathura Vihari Prabhu then, through his expert recitation of the Bhagavad Gita and flawless recitation of the Bhagavad Gita, as well as giving purports of the verses of the Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit as well, in a very flawless manner, effectively won that worldwide competition. And the President of India at the time, Mrs. Pratibha Patil, she actually, when it came to giving the award to His Grace Mathura Vihari Prabhu, just lifted him up and basically couldn't help herself and said on the mic that, thank goodness, you have saved the pride of our country. If someone outside of India had won this Sanskrit competition, it would have not been a very great look for our country. So when I met Mathura Vihari Prabhu, that was quite a formidable introduction. And when I met him and interacted with him, and I quizzed him on the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, then he used to he used to pick up references from the Ramayana and Mahabharata and recite them in flawless Sanskrit, deconstruct the verses, and explain their meaning in great detail to me. And I was just dumbstruck. And he said, Prabhu, I am just able to do this by the grace of my Guru Maharaj and his other disciples. And then when he introduced me to some of his godbrothers, I was just floored that it seemed that, just like Ghanshyam Prabhu said, when you think of His Holiness Radhanath Swami, you think of humility. When you think of Srila Prabhupada, the first thing you'll think is of this great family of ISKCON that he has built. When you think of Jayapatak Swami Maharaj, you'll immediately think of someone who's always available and of determination, that no matter what happens to you physically or mentally, you're always there to preach and always there for the devotees. And when you think of Radha Govinda Maharaj, the first thing you think of is Srimad-Bhagavatam, but I actually, the first thing that comes to my mind is his disciples and the knowledge and the authority and the pure and the way that his disciples relish the nectar of the scriptures and the way they make it available to everyone, to common people such as us. So that was the one story. And then with Mathura Vihari Prabhu, I told him, so, what is the secret to all of this? How do you understand the scriptures so well? And he took me to, and he then basically told me that there's just outside Vrindavan, if you go to Vrindavan, most of you have, if you go to Varsana, which is the birthplace of Srimati Radharani, he said the disciples of Maharaj, by Maharaj's grace, have established a center for training generations of Vaishnavas in understanding the scriptures, knowing them by heart, in a very holy place called Pilipokar, which has a pastime of its own. And I was like, okay, wow, this is like it's like a transcendental Shastric learning camp, which we are able to see just by Maharaj's glance. And again, the fruit of a tree is known. You judge a tree by its fruit. And the list of Maharaj's disciples, and I just have come in contact with a few. I've spoken about Mathura Vihari Prabhu. There's His Holiness Gaur Krishna Das Goswami Maharaj, who's no longer be with us in he may no longer be with us in this planet, but he's still accessible via his lectures. And when you listen to his lectures, you almost feel as if you're hearing Maharaj speak through him. And then there's, of course, Amarendra Prabhu and our own Venuvadak Prabhu here in Sydney. it's just impossible to glorify Maharaj in words, and I think words do very little justice to it. However, since I was hearing a lecture of His Holiness B.B. Govinda Maharaj, and in that lecture, B.B. Govinda Maharaj says that he looks up to Radha Govinda Maharaj, and once went up to him and asked him, how is it that you are able to explain the Srimad-Bhagavatam so well and have such a strong grasp of the Srimad-Bhagavatam? And how do you study the Srimad-Bhagavatam? And Maharaj's answer is usually very simple. For even a very complex topics, he has very simple answers. He says, I don't study the Srimad-Bhagavatam. I relish the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So that makes a lot of sense. If you really like a particular subject or a sport or a language or a person, you go to great lengths to know more about them or know more about that particular vocation. And in Maharaj's case, he's a living Bhagavat himself. So I thought the best way I could express my gratitude to Maharaj was through a verse from the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And this is from the third canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, where Lord Kapila Dev says, Prasangam ajaram pasham atmanaha kavayo viduhu sa eva sadashu krito mokshadvaram apavratam. That every learned man knows, or every learned person knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door for liberation. So, and in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that attachment cannot actually be killed. It simply has to be transferred. And on this most auspicious occasion of Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, I can say that I can speak for myself, and I'm sure if we are very honest, we can apply this to our lives as well. We are all attached to so many other things in life, and many of them may not even relate to Krishna consciousness, and some of them may not be even very palatable to Krishna consciousness. But if we can learn from this verse and learn from Maharaj's life and develop an attachment just to his disciples, what to speak of to Maharaj himself or to his lectures, I think the door, I know that according to verse, on the strength of Shastra, that the doors of liberation will be open for us. The other quality that Maharaj has, amongst so many other qualities that you can speak of, and I thought I'll just touch the one of Maharaj and his disciples and their strong command over the Shastra, is that Maharaj always strikes you as someone, if you listen to his lectures or you interact with his disciples, he always strikes you as someone who is totally free from all personal desire. Last year I was listening to Amarendra Prabhu glorify Maharaj on this occasion, on the occasion of his Vyasa Puja, and he brought about this pastime which quite honestly floored me as to how, forget a devotee, even a human being can think like that on a human level. Apparently there were 2-3 years ago, as is Maharaj's nature, he spends a fair bit of time in Vrindavan. And a lot of his disciples and well-wishers from all over India, all over the world came to Vrindavan to see him. And he had one disciple in particular who was coordinating the devotee visits. And this devotee was also, keeping in mind that with all these devotees visiting Maharaj right from 6 in the morning to 11 at night, Maharaj wasn't tending to his meals and wasn't taking his medication, and in general was making himself so available that he was having very little time to take rest. And the particular disciple also got slightly irritated with some of the real mundane questions that people used to ask Maharaj or get Maharaj to do, please, bless me that my business goes well or something like that. And it kind of reflected in some of his dealings with some of these visiting devotees. So at the end of the day, Maharaj called this particular disciple and asked him, and I'm just telling you what Amarendra Prabhu said in the lecture. So, and Maharaj comes and Maharaj told this particular disciple who's in charge of coordinating the devotee visits, can you see that bookshelf? Yes. Look, go to the third row and pick out the third book on your right. And the devotee picked up the book and he says, go to page number 90 and just read from page number 90. And the devotee actually, Maharaj has this photographic memory, so he didn't try to challenge Maharaj, he just went to page 90, didn't even ask Maharaj, did you mean to say this particular pastime from this book? He just did as Maharaj told him, opened page 90 and was reading about this other great devotee who was very good friends with Maharaj, whose name was Odia Swami, who's also unfortunately no longer with us. And in that particular book, I don't know what the name of the book was, but when the devotee reads about Odia Maharaj, he says that, Odia Maharaj used to give so many classes that everyone from Orissa used to come and listen to his classes. Unfortunately, some miscreants who were quite envious of Odia Swami or Maharaj came and attacked him with knives in the middle of the class, and he just carried on giving the class. Very, very sad turn of circumstances, and Odia Maharaj was kind of stabbed and succumbed to his wounds. And then Radha Govinda Maharaj turned to his disciple and said, Odia Maharaj, in the middle of being attacked and being stabbed, still did not express any anger, nor did he even protest about what was happening to him. Yet here you have all these pure souls from all over the world who are coming, who are taking so much time out of their busy schedules and coming to visit me, and you are getting irritated by some very by almost innocuous demands. So isn't there something for us to learn from Odia Swami? This is the devotee basically was just floored and said that, wow, this was a very eye-opening experience, and Amarendra Prabhu was just extrapolating on that. So for me to even think that anyone can think like this on a human level is quite extraordinary. It means that in many days gone by, there was when my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj, was preaching at a program, and he said that when you chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it will take you to the spiritual world. It will take you to the spiritual world. It is invaluable. And he said, and it does not cost anything. So a lady in the audience put her hand up and says, nothing in life, nothing in this world that comes for free is really worth anything. So his answer to that was, yes, but this is not of this world. This mantra is not of this world. So similarly, Maharaj, through his actions, we can understand is not of this world. He is just an extraordinary personality. And he is what you will call a Nirpeksha Muni, totally free from all personal desire. So just to conclude my offering, I'd like to quote another verse from the Srimad-Bhagavatam to describe Maharaj. I can't think of any other scripture to glorify Maharaj except for the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is so dear to his heart. So in the 11th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Krishna himself tells Uddhavji that Nirpeksham Munim Shantam Nirvairam Samadarshanam Anuvrajumi Aham Nityam Puye Yeti Angri Renubihi, that with the dust of my devotees' lotus feet, I desire to purify the material worlds which are situated within me. So Krishna is saying that with the dust of my devotees' lotus feet, I desire to purify the material worlds which are situated within me. Thus I always follow the footsteps of my pure devotees, who are free from all personal desire, wrapped in thought of my pastimes, without any feelings of enmity and of equal disposition everywhere. So from the pastime that Amarendra Prabhu described, one can't help but think that, it totally fits the description of His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj, that he is a Nirpeksha Muni, he is free of all personal desire, has no feelings of enmity, and is of equal disposition to everyone. So hence, for such a personality, Krishna is saying that I always follow the footsteps of my pure devotees who are free from all personal desire, wrapped in thought of my pastimes, without any feelings of enmity, and of equal disposition everywhere. So the Lord himself follows the footsteps of these pure devotees. So by developing attachment to hearing from Maharaj and his disciples, these are the kind of exalted destinations that, mere mortals like us can also aspire towards. So thank you again, Venuvadak Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Govind Hari Prabhuji. He is as humble as always. So yeah, as Prabhu said, Maharaj really relished Srimad-Bhagavatam. Once a few devotees, they had gone to see Guru Maharaj in Mumbai, and it was around afternoon time. Maharaj had taken prasadam and he was going to rest. But somehow Maharaj heard some people came to see him. So Maharaj called his personal attendant, the person who was serving Maharaj. Maharaj called him and Maharaj asked him what happened. And he said, Maharaj, some people had come and they wanted to take your darshan. And I told them that Maharaj is taking rest. And then Maharaj immediately got up. And Maharaj said, why did you ask them to go back? You should call them back. And then Maharaj called them back and tell them, okay, come sit. What do you want to hear? And then Maharaj started talking to them. They raised some questions about churning of the ocean. And then Maharaj started speaking, and he spoke the whole Leela of churning of the ocean for next 3 hours. And he was quoting the verses chapter by chapter, and the whole pastime Maharaj narrated to them. And then it was time for another evening class, because Maharaj was doing 2 sessions in a day. And it was time for the evening class, and then Maharaj had to get up and take bath and get ready. And then those devotees, they were so thankful to Guru Maharaj, and they were just paying their obeisances. That Maharaj, we are so thankful to you. But then in turn, Maharaj started crying. Maharaj said, because of your association, I would have gone into the mode of ignorance. I was getting into the mode of ignorance by sleeping, by taking rest. Maharaj said, because of your association, I avoided myself getting into the mode of ignorance. So I'm thankful to you, so that I could then remember this pastime and we could discuss the pastime. So yeah, this is how indeed Maharaj loves Srimad-Bhagavatam. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. So if I can request few more devotees from Parthasarthi Ashram, I will ask His Grace Tarun Prabhu. Prabhu is hesitant, but I told him, no, you must take this opportunity to speak even for 1 minute. You can just even say Hare Krishna. But this is our opportunity to show our gratitude to Guru Maharaj.
Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I'm not really qualified to say anything. Probably never had enough good karma to be in the presence of Maharaj, but nonetheless the mercy of Maharaj has always been flowing. The way it happened is, I only have one incident to narrate. I was quite early days with this con. It was like, we didn't really quite understand a lot. Everything was in Bengali, and I had a Punjabi background. Really did not understand Aarti, did not understand anything, but nonetheless we were going anyways. And then it happens to be once I had to drop Venuvadak Prabhu to home from the temple. And just as we took on the motorway, Maharaj's call came. And Prabhu took it, and I didn't pay much attention. I did not understand the importance of Maharaj, and I was quite benign. So I didn't pay much attention, but I could see him crying non-stop. And the conversation was only a minute or two, and he kept crying for another 5 minutes. And before he said a word, and what he said that he felt really, really blessed that he got to hear his Guru Maharaj. And that was the time when that incident moved quite a lot, and we thought, okay, we need to take a little bit more seriously, and started knowing more about it. And since then, through his disciples, the mercy has been flowing. That's all I had to narrate. Thank you, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Yeah, thank you, Tarun Prabhuji. It was the day we had internal Rath Yatra here, and it was Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja on the day. So we had come to the temple. Ghanshyam Prabhu had invited us, Prabhu, please come. And as we were just leaving from the car park, and that day I requested Prabhu to come. And because he was driving, so I could answer the phone. So I just got a call, and it was, Maharaj has been so magnanimous in his mercy. So Maharaj was just calling and inquiring about how are you doing, how's your health, everything. So it was Yeah, it was just out of the blue, as they say, you never expect. So thank you, Maharaj. If I can request His Grace Suranath Prabhu to please come and share his realization and glorify Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisance, Guru Maharaj. So, on this auspicious day, I stand no way here to actually talk about Guru Maharaj. I've never met Guru Maharaj, I've never heard his lectures, but I can actually see it from his disciples, how they have carried out his mission. My wife at home, she hears about Amarendra Prabhuji's lectures, who is also a disciple of Guru Maharaj, and also here in Sydney. When we first moved to Southwest Sydney, we were at a point we were not chanting regularly, and then through Venuvadak Prabhuji's association, then we got back into the chanting, and then again, all these japa groups, and it is we're far from. The temple is not far, but only we actually stay far from the temple, as Radha Govinda Das Prabhuji mentioned in one of his lectures before. So for us, in a desert, the Radha Padishah, the ashram is like an oasis there. The reason I'm elaborating about the Radha Padishah, the ashram, is it is actually by the mercy of Guru Maharaj that these activities have been carried out at the ashram. The whole and sole intention is actually to glorify Krishna and also please Guru Maharaj. We've done Snan Yatra, we are about to do Rath Yatra as well on 9th of July. So not everyone all over the Sydney can access every occasion which happens here around. I think people of Southwest Sydney are very blessed to actually see all these things happen, and I feel like this is all coming from the mercy of Guru Maharaj, establishing that Radha Padishah, the ashram, and all these things happening out there. And I'm very grateful that I've got this. I feel honored to be standing here and talk about on this occasion. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Suranath Prabhuji. If I can request Her Grace Kavita Mataji to please come and share her realization. Kavita Mataji lives far away from where we are. Mataji lives in Hornsby. But as Lord arranges the meeting with different souls, with different living entities, so it is some arrangement, and I'll let Mataji share that. But Mataji has been regularly attending our programs online. Mataji is part of our chanting group. She even took Srila Prabhupada Ashray, and Mataji is really looking forward to progress in her spiritual journey. Mataji.
Hare Krishna to everybody. I do not know how to talk, so please excuse me for any mistakes that I make. It is only with the inspiration of our Shriman Venuvadak Prabhuji that I am standing here, though I have no capacity and no capability to say any words. And especially on such a beautiful and pious occasion of our Guru Maharaj, it's very, very, very difficult to... I'm short of words. I'm overwhelmed. So please excuse me if I make any mistakes. Thank you. It was March 2021, Saturday evening, when as a gift to my brother on his birthday and purely by intuition, I was inspired to organize Harinam Sankirtan at our home. And yes, lots of blessings were poured in form of extremely heavy showers. Many friends and family members joined to celebrate, though little apprehensive on what was in store for them. The Kirtan Mandali arrived with their musical instruments and started the Sankirtan with a brief introduction to Krishna consciousness. As the evening proceeded, almost everyone went into a trance and enjoyed to an extent that we all never wanted it to stop ever. Later, we all had prasadam together and dispersed, but amazingly, with the holy name reverberating in our hearts. That evening, full of Harinam Sankirtan, left an indelible mark on my heart. I realized that I was thirsty for more, to know more, to sing more, to get that devotees association more, because I know that time is too short in this life. But where to look for? Coincidentally, I stumbled upon the talks of Sriman Amarendra Das Prabhuji, and I said, this is it. I started searching a way to communicate with him to get further guidance, and as Lord would will it, I found Amarendra Prabhu's email ID on his website. I wrote to him on May 13, 2021, hesitantly that he may not even respond to me. But as my good fortune would have it, he responded the very same day. I told him about my ignorance about Krishna consciousness, but mentioned honestly that I would like to get his guidance and listen to his lectures more. The story took a turn from here. He wrote back that instead of listening to him, I should listen to the lectures of his Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Radha Govinda Das Goswami Ji Maharaj. Not only that, he attached a list of Guru Maharaj's lectures on Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 10. Amarendra Prabhu asked me to prepare my notes on these lectures while listening and send him those notes. I did exactly that and started listening to those lectures of Guru Maharaj Ji one after another from May 14, 2021. Couldn't stop. This was my first introduction to Guru Maharaj Ji. It was the very same day, May 14th, 2021, that I got into regular chanting seriously. On June 18, I completed my notes and forwarded those to Amarendra Prabhu. Surprisingly, he was very happy with whatever scribbling I had done. It did encourage me to ask for regular guidance from him. It was July 3rd, 2021, when he very kindly referred me to Sriman Vasak Prabhuji and gave me his contact details too. I was so excited and happy at the very thought of getting such wonderful association. I called Vasak Prabhuji, and to my utter surprise got to know that he and Amarendra Prabhu are god brothers. I was smiling at the design of Krishna to pull me to his consciousness. Needless to say that Vasak Prabhuji was very, very kind to include me to regular classes and motivate me. What a coincidence that I started listening to Guru Maharaj's lectures on May 14th, and I started serious chanting on May 14th. When I look back today, I see a beautiful divine play in putting me onto the path of devotional service to Bhagavan Krishna. I have never met Guru Maharaji in person, but I have heard him. I have listened to his thoughts and bhava through his talks. I read his quotes. I read his quotes sent by Vasak Prabhuji to us every day. I find his lectures with a deep sense of meaning of scriptures. A few examples. When I was going through his lectures and making notes, so what touched my heart, I'm just sharing it with all of you, the senior devotees. The first thing he said was, we should come to temple so that Krishna can see us. How moving, how overwhelming. जीने का तत्व है जिज्ञासा. Guru Maharaj Ji said, जिज्ञासा जीने का तत्व है. Telling Krishna that he needs a dark place to steal butter, so I am keeping complete darkness in my heart. Come to our dark heart and steal. How beautiful. Bhakti marg par दौड़ने वाला भी, अज्ञान में भक्ति करने वाला कभी न गिरेगा न फिसलेगा, भले ही आंखें बंद क्यों ना हो. बिना कष्ट के कृष्ण नहीं मिलते. This got to my heart. बिना कष्ट के कृष्ण नहीं मिलते. On the other hand, Guru Maharaj explains most complicated things with a great sense of humor. A few examples again. In one Pravesh Leela, when I was listening to him, Guruji talks about worldly newspaper versus Vaikuntha newspaper. And I can still see those words moving in front of my eyes. He calls Putana as children killing commission head. When I heard this, couldn't stop laughing. What an analysis. A jiva's father cannot be nirakar. That was the third thing. Because when we say that our dear father, do we say dear father nowhere? He has a form. So he made a sense, complete sense. A jiva's father cannot be nirakar. In Govardhan Leela, just recently I was listening to his lecture, Guruji explains how Krishna as a 7-year-old child is asking funny questions to his father about why all the preparations were going on, etc., etc. He was talking something which was not making sense. But then Guruji said, when he will talk Gita, everything will make sense. So as a 7-year, he was just blabbering few things just to attract the attention of his father. Guru Maharaj Ji is simplicity personified. I bow down to him with deep reverence thousands of times and seek his blessings. गोविंद मेरी यही प्रार्थना है, भूलूं न मैं नाम कभी भी तुम्हारा, निष्काम होकर दिन रात गाऊं, गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति. हरे कृष्णा.
Thank you, Mataji. Indeed, Maharaj was jokingly, when Lord Krishna, when they were all preparing for the bhoga to offer to Indra, then Lord Krishna came and he started asking the questions to Nand Baba and other elders. And and Lord Krishna then started telling them, why are you offering this to Indra? If it has to rain, it has to rain. Mahindra kim karishyati. What will Indra do in that? It is his job. And then he further says, Krishna tells them, karmana jayate jantu karmana eva paliyate. Yeah, sukham dukkham bhayam shemam karmana eva utpadyate. So then Lord Krishna is saying karma. And then Guru Maharaj says that Lord Krishna is now talking about that everything is karma, based on karma. You get that. And it will be based on karma. But then it is sort of opposes with the mercy factor, with the devotion factor. So that's where Maharaj says, abhi ye jab Bhagavad Gita bolenge na, tab sara sense ho jayega. When he starts speaking Bhagavad Gita, then everything will make sense to them. So I'll just like to introduce, you have heard Radha Parthasarthi Ashram from many devotees here. So the story goes back 4 years ago. We were planning to set up a center in southwest Sydney. And at that time we had His Grace Govind Charan Prabhu. You all know Govind Charan Prabhu. He was head pujari here, and Prabhu was serving, Shri Radha Gopinath for many years. and Govind Charan Prabhu was visiting and we were hosting him. So I took Govind Charan Prabhu to the place, and Govind Charan Prabhu saw the place, and then he said, "Aise shuru mat karo, don't start like that. Write a letter to your Maharaj. Maharaj ka permission lo, and then you start it. Take permission from your Guru Maharaj." And then I said, "Prabhu, then how can I take the permission?" He said, "No, don't worry. Write a letter and give it to me, and I'm going to India." He was going to go to India within a week. He said, "Write a letter, give it to me, and I will take it to Maharaj, and I will ask him to give his permission." I said, "Okay, Prabhu." I wrote the letter, and the day before Govind Charan Prabhu was to fly out, he stayed with us. And the whole night we were talking, and the next day morning we got busy, and we took him to the airport, and I forgot to give him the letter. We got into the car, and now if we come back, his flight will be delayed. I don't know what to do. So I called my son. I said, "You come by train." He was to go to school. I said, "No, don't worry about the school." Don't worry about the school. Pick up that letter and bring the letter to the airport. So then we were going by the car, and they had checked in the luggage, everything. And Govind Charan Prabhu said, "Prabhu, leave it, don't worry. I'll talk to Maharaj." I said, "No, Prabhu, we wrote it. You better take it to Maharaj." And Govind Charan Prabhu also said, "Put a picture of your family with the letter." So I said, "Yeah, take that also." So I told my son, so he came by train, and we just met. He didn't even cross the, where you scan your pass. So he just came, he gave me the letter, he ran back, and then I took the letter to Govind Charan Prabhu. He gave the letter to Guru Maharaj, and then he called me and he said, "Yes, Guru Maharaj has said, okay, you can start it." So with Guru Maharaj permission, we started Shri Shri Radha Parthasarathi Ashram. So as you can see, so it was set up in 2018, and January 2019, it was our first, we had first session, and the whole objective was to spread, serve and preach Krishna consciousness in the Southwest Sydney. Probably if you can press the next. So it is obviously a permanent center that we have now. We are hosting weekly satsang programs every week, and we are studying Srimad-Bhagavatam now. So weekly Srimad-Bhagavatam detailed study with the association of, or with the encouragement of His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu. Ghanshyam Prabhu said to me, "Prabhu, you start Srimad-Bhagavatam study." So we're studying Srimad-Bhagavatam one chapter a week, every Saturday. So we are doing that study, and yeah, so it's really benefiting us. And as you can appreciate, there are about 355 chapters. So it's a 7-year program. So Parikshit Maharaj heard Srimad-Bhagavatam in 7 days. We got a 7-year program. And we're telling each other, if we survive, let's pray for each other, because a lot of associates, they are in 50s. So 50, if you add 53 plus 7 is 60 years. That's a long time. Anybody can pass out by then. So we are praying and supporting each other. So we're doing that. Then we have monthly hall programs in the Glenfield area to celebrate key ISKCON festivals and other events. Yes, Prabhu. Next. Then we're also doing online scripture study for adults. So we have got this association with ISKCON Chowpatty. Once again, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Mercy. And we did a Bhagavad Gita overview study. Right? Within 4 months, we did a whole Bhagavad Gita overview so that you can understand how chapter 1 relates to chapter 2, chapter 2 to chapter 3. So the full overview, so that you are able to grasp it in an easy way. So, and right now we are studying Nectar of Instruction. So once again, one of the disciples of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj is helping us. Then we also started spiritual gopas, wherein storytelling for children. So you're all welcome to join. And once again, one of the disciples of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So he is taking those sessions wherein every week we have stories from Krishna book. So they are narrating those pastimes. Then Sanskrit language study we also doing for children. It covers 4 areas: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So 4 areas, and it's nearly more than 2 years now. So and it is still continuing. So yeah, next one, Prabhu. Then we also do street Harinam and the book distribution. Yeah, keep going, Prabhu. Online instrument classes. Once again, another disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He is teaching Mridanga and harmonium to the members of our congregation. Even some of the adults are learning them. Then in addition to that, we do temple service whenever there is an opportunity. We come and associate with the devotees here. As Prabhu said, it's distance. It's a bit of distance, but as Ghanshyam Prabhu pointed out, temple is not far away. It is us who are living far away. So we are trying to reduce that distance by associating more. दूरियां कम हो जाती हैं अगर हम ज़्यादा मिलते हैं तो. If we associated more, the distances go away. Yeah, and then we are preaching online through the social media platform. And then finally we have a WhatsApp chanting group wherein we are motivating devotees. A lot of devotees have taken up the chanting. Prabhu, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so just linking to that. So setup of the ashram, so 3.5 years. Yes, Prabhu, please continue. Yeah, so speaking of the chanting, so this chanting group has really worked wonderfully. So far we have 44 devotees who have attended Shiksha ceremony. A lot of them have taken Prabhupada Ashray. Some of them are doing 12 rounds, 4 rounds. And the objective is you do your round every day. I'm personally keeping a count. And you just send a message in the group saying Hare Krishna or Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, whoever is your favorite deity, and that's it. And then I know you have done your round. So I keep that count. So like this, we have had 44 members who have attended Shiksha ceremony. 14 have taken Prabhupada Ashray. 13 have completed IDC. And 7 of them are enrolled into the Bhakti Shastri. So they are studying the scriptures. Now we have 30 new members who are ready to attend the Shiksha ceremony next time. His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu himself attended our programs and he gave away the chanting beads. So that will make the count to 74 devotees who are chanting on the beads. And like this, we are focusing on the basic things. You do your chanting, you offer bhoga to the Lordship at your home, you read scriptures as a family, and please come and associate at the temple. Please come and attend programs at the temple. Very simple. Now 4 devotees have taken Harinam initiation and 3 others, they have already taken Guru Ashray and they are waiting for their Guru Maharaj to give them the initiation. Yeah. Then we have also hosted Maharajas, His Holiness Subhag Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Ramay Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Bir Krishna Das Goswami Maharaj, Her Grace Urmila Mataji, His Grace Bhagavata Ashray Prabhu, Narsim Kavach Prabhu, His Grace Amrendra Prabhu. He spent a lot of time with us 2 years ago, and I'm already talking to him next year. Next year Prabhu could be here in Australia with us again. And then obviously our own His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhu, he has visited Ashram. Rather, when we set it up in 2019, Prabhu came himself. He was so kind enough. Prabhu came, Sriman Narsim Prabhu, and other Prabhus he brought with him, and we did Harinam together. So those are the things. And during the COVID times, then we also kept the activities going. We had online association with His Holiness Ved Vyas Priya Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Radha Raman Swami Maharaj, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu, His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, His Grace Amog Leela Prabhu. Amog Leela Prabhu, I just spoke to him last week. So whenever there is an opportunity, we will invite him also to come and conduct some workshop here in Sydney. Once again, I'll work with His Grace Ghanshyam Prabhuji. Then Her Grace Nitai Sevani Mataji, His Grace Amrendra Prabhu, and many other prominent speakers from ISKCON community, we associated with them. And we missed His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Maharaj was here in Sydney. Maharaj was to come and do the program in the evening, but in the morning we got a message that Maharaj was unwell, so he couldn't come